Hey, welcome to the Happy PharmD podcast. This is Alex Barker, founder of the Happy PharmD, and I love these episodes because I get to talk about business with my good friend, Alex Evans. We're both entrepreneurs, both pharmacists, and we like talking about business. In this episode, what we thought would be a lot of fun is to just talk about validation. It feels good to be validated, whether you're told, good job, from your boss or a patient or a fellow coworker, or just having, your good old mom or dad tell you good job. Sometimes when you have your business, though, the toughest thing can be not having your loved ones tell you good job because you're like, you don't know what this is. You don't understand it. But to have someone, a complete stranger, approach you and say, with money in hand, your idea is good and I want to buy it. So what I thought would be a great discussion today with Alex is our validation stories that we've had. And maybe for you, if you're a budding entrepreneur or if you are a business owner and you're thinking about validating an idea, what are some things that you can do to ensure that your idea is valid and would require someone to actually pay you money for? So, Alex, do you want me to go first? Or you want to go first with the first ever validation story?
I'll let you go first on this one.
So, obviously, I think most kids have done something to earn cash at one point. I had a lemonade stand as a kid. I sold candy bars for our school's charity, which I was awful at, by the way. But it wasn't until after graduation during my residency that I had a legitimate new idea, a new thing that I was going to offer that was all riding on me. And I had done stuff like sold things online that I didn't really feel like that was legitimate or really a representation of me because I knew that you could do it. It felt more like a garage sale. If you've ever done one, you don't really feel like, oh, I'm validated. You bought my crap. You're like, oh, it feels good that you bought this old stroller, which that's what I sold on eBay and Amazon was baby strollers. I would go to like different garages in my area and I'd talk them down to like $15, $20. That's the highest I'll go. And then I would sell it on eBay and make like, $80 to $100. But my first real idea was podcast consulting. I had created a podcast. It had done really well. It was like number 2 or 3 in leadership or business in iTunes. And I had people, approaching me saying, hey, I want to create a podcast, or I want to do what you did, or let me teach me how you did this. And so I was like, oh, okay. I could charge for that, I guess. I knew other people were doing it. So I validated the idea through outside experience. Maybe you could do that as well, but I knew that other people were getting paid. And my first ever call was during a trip to downstate Michigan. I was with my wife. Unfortunately, the call was scheduled during a trip when my kids were in the back, and they're like at the time maybe 3 and 1 year old. And they're screaming back there. They're crying for whatever. They want a cracker or, whatever that's going on in the background. And I'm on the phone and I'm trying to make a pitch to this guy saying, I'm going to teach you how to do this. And I remember my back was sweating. I was so nervous. I was just afraid that he was going to say no. And I remember coming down to the price, and I was dreading saying how much I was going to charge. And it finally came out and I said, it's $37 a month. Oh, reflecting on that, like $37 is nothing. I mean, that's not even like what you pay for television for all the like Hulu and Netflix and stuff.
Yeah, if you're not wanting to invest $37 a month to make a podcast, you probably don't deserve one.
And that's what I charged. I didn't know what to charge. I didn't know how much
Yeah,
was too much. I didn't know how little was too little. That was way too little for what I charged. And and some of those people I taught, like they're still podcasting today, and it's a major part of their business model. So it's so valuable. I should have charged a lot, 10 times more than that. Um, but that validation was so it was like the first time I felt like, wow, I created something. I spoke with someone who wanted it and I made it happen. And it was such a huge confidence booster for me. This was way back in like 2013. So your validation story just happened. It's fresh. Probably feels amazing. Walk us through your story and what you just validated.
yeah, and it does, even though it's only $6. So, for those listeners who don't know, I did start a pharmacy compliance website last year around July called at pharmcompliance.com. And my goal of it really is to help community pharmacists and especially independent pharmacies and pharmacy owners, pharmacy managers better understand third party compliance, legal issues, operations, how to create an efficient workflow, how to basically answer the question, how do you run a pharmacy, a community pharmacy? Um, so I created blog articles starting from July. I was writing one a week on a variety of topics, a bunch of free products for people who sign up to my website. There's probably 14, 15 free products on there.
Cool.
Um, some simpler than others, none that are very complex. Some as simple as just a sign. So, like a sign that says hazardous drugs for you to print off and tape on your hazardous drug shelf. Some of those kinds of things. And then I have a paid section of now 12, I believe 12 products.
Hmm.
And so those products, my goal with those really is to allow people to just buy the types of forms that I was having to make over and over and over again as a new pharmacy manager for a different pharmacy. And with those forms, I think the majority of community pharmacists could make many of the forms. But the point is that you don't have to make them. For a small amount of money, you can go and just get them and not
Yep.
waste your time. And learning PowerPoint to make handouts and learning Word and things like that, many pharmacists don't want to deal with that. And I completely understand that. That's kind of the point of that, so that you don't have to learn it. Didn't sell anything. So from July all the way up till about a week ago, I didn't sell one product. And I was posting and posting, and traffic was growing. For those of you who are not familiar with websites at all, Google has a product called Analytics. It's free, and you can go on there and you can see how many paid views and sessions and users and all that other garbage people look at with websites to see how important they are.
Yep.
And so I could see that, yes, slowly users are increasing. And I wrote a thing in Pharmacy Times, and it has my website on my bio. There's a big jump in traffic. You can kind of tell when you post things where people are clicking on it, but still not making any sales. Amazon kicked me off of their affiliate program because I didn't make a sale in 180 days.
Oh no.
So I am allowed to sign up again. I'm not going to bother right now. I'm going to wait till I have more users first.
Wise.
Um, but I got to the point only a few weeks ago of thinking, is anybody really? Am I the only one that cares about pharmacy compliance? I mean, you hear nightmares like I've heard of pharmacy managers that just keep the insulin out on. I heard one nightmare: the pharmacy managers just kept the insulin out on the shelf because it was a fast mover. So why not
Mhm.
just keep the Levemir on the fast shelf?
Whoops.
So obviously that is in the 1%, hopefully a lot lower than 1% of pharmacists. But still, you think, are there other managers that really are interested in diving in depth and
Mm.
fully understanding compliance and operations and all that? And when you don't get a sale, that makes you this little voice in your head start to think, no, nobody cares, nobody cares. And in February or March, very recently, I discovered part of the reason was that I had not fully set up the store so they can complete the transaction. So I use a builder called Wix. And in Wix, you have to, I'm not advocating one company or another, but in Wix, you have to set the geography. Do you want to sell domestically or internationally? Whatever. Set all these things to finish your payment system, set
Hmm.
up the credit card processor. I hadn't done any of that. So I probably had people wanting to buy the product that couldn't. And your customers are never going to call you or email you and tell you that. They're just not going to come back. It's
Right.
like at a bad restaurant. Most people don't complain, they just don't ever go again. So after that very hard lesson in website building, I set up the payment system. And as of last week, got my first sale of $6 for a form.
Woo! Woo!
So the
Party
biggest
time.
thing, we all know that $6 doesn't matter, but the biggest thing is that it validated, at least to a small extent, it made me feel like somebody liked this form enough, they were willing to pay money for it.
Yep.
So that combined with it does feel good when more people are reading your site and you can see on the analytics the types of articles they're reading. Wix has its own analytics. So you can see like, oh, the hazardous drug article is really popular. It looks like people are getting benefit from it. And people from recently, the past few days, for whatever reason, there's big jump in traffic from other countries, especially Europe. So I don't know why, but you can see like a bunch of people in like Germany and France are looking at the article for some reason. I mean, the website for some reason. So that in itself is some extent of validation. So it kind of it motivated me to keep pushing through and adding products and articles and trying to create value for community pharmacists.
Now, we should clarify that that was a very long approach to validating your idea. Very long. But
Yeah,
it's actually quite common when it comes to kind of like the online entrepreneur blog passive model to ideas. Most like teachers of this model focus on finding the niche, creating content, and that'll be the thing that helps you create a business. But the truth is that you don't know if there's any really great ideas until you have dollars in your hands. There's a huge difference between someone telling you that they're going to give you money versus actually putting dollars on the table to sign up for your product. I find that the quickest way to validate ideas is to just start talking with people, ask them to pay for something, even if you don't have a full picture yet of what it is. Not that you would misguide them or misrepresent yourself through the idea, but instead just say, look, I'd like to help you achieve X goal, whatever that is. Even for something like compliance, hey, I'll make you, you know, a spreadsheet. I'll make you something. Would you be willing to give me 20 bucks, 30 bucks for it? Talk to 10, talk to 20, talk to 50 people, and you find out if people are willing to do that or not. That's the quickest way to validate an idea. I fell trapped to the same thing though many, many years ago. Most people don't even know this, and I don't even know exactly what the website was, but I thought building a site to build traffic to sell something was the way to go myself. And I built a website, I think it was called pharmacytechnicianresume.com. And I was going to sell templates
yeah,
to a very specific audience. That went nowhere. Wasted a lot of time writing blogs for that website. Didn't make a single dollar from that website. But you got to start somewhere.
and also even through that experience and any other failed experiences you have, you will always learn things. So
Right. It's
for me,
not totally a failure, but yeah, should have known better.
yeah, and I mean, but you still like no matter what, you will learn about website design, writing.
Hmm.
Had no idea about search engine optimization or analytics or how to set up a payment system or any of that stuff. So even if I kept farm compliance for a lot longer, which I plan on at this point, even if I added a second site on something completely different later, I would build it much faster than I did the first time, just because I've already experienced the learning curve. So, you just feel like to some extent you just got to do it.
It comes down to the very opposite idea behind our profession. We're rule followers, but in order to validate an idea, you got to break rules. You got to
Yeah,
be willing to crack quite a few eggs before you step into something that actually is great.
yeah,
Ideally, a fried omelet or something. So, whatever your idea is, if it's new or maybe it's a nuance, start talking to people and be willing to ask for cash. You know, start low with something that is a piddly amount, $25, $50, $6, and start getting testimonies. That's the easiest way to grow practically any business. There's a huge wave right now in health coaching, health consulting. I'm sure you've seen this, Alex.
yeah.
It's kind of like the new thing right now. Everyone's like, "Oh, I think the logic is I hate our current model. It's always about disease management. I'm a pharmacist that treats diseases. I want to help people get healthy, health coaching."
Yeah, that seems to be, yeah, yeah,
Which is good. We need, I mean, there's a need for it, right? The health industry is multi billions of dollars. Who better to instruct people how to get off of medications or to help become healthier than a pharmacist? So the idea simply would be talk to 10 people, ask them for money, ask them to say, "Hey, are you willing to pay me to help you achieve X health goal, whatever that is?" Start practicing. But it takes a lot to have that discussion. I think for pharmacists, it takes a lot of bravery to not have a clear picture exactly of what this looks like. So I see a lot of people doing entrepreneur type things and building a marketing plan, building a business plan, hiring a lawyer, building a website, designing logos, even before they have a sale in place. If you could do this all over again, and focus on sales from the beginning, what would you have done differently?
yeah. Probably what you're talking about. I would probably go on to, even like recently. I should have done it earlier. I went on to Reddit and just said, "What kind of topics are you interested in hearing about?" In the like pharmacy subreddit or whatever they call it.
Hmm.
So on that notion, just kind of a little bit of research into what do people want. Do you want an outdated checkoff sheet? Do you want labels for your shelves? What kind of stuff? What would you pay money for? Whether it's Reddit or another platform, what kind of more of that market research into what people really want.
Yeah, it takes conversations. I've taken so many entrepreneur classes when I first started, and the classic research ideas that they give you is go into a sub niche in Reddit or Quora, which is another great website to find ideas, and just start asking questions and seeing what people say. It's a good start. One of the problems is that people will tell you all sorts of things, but there may not actually be dollar signs behind those facts. You always got to take it with a grain of salt,
Yeah,
because as soon as, if you were to, go back to that Reddit post and you send messages to every single person who commented, you know, I would I would venture a guess that many of them would not buy in that moment.
yeah, yeah. I would think the majority actually wouldn't buy in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it comes to marketing too, how you brand the opportunity. Because there's, when thinking about even even the discussion between brand and generic, right? They're supposed to be the same exact thing, but some people say, brand is so much better, right?
yeah.
Um, my wife, buys, you know, brand cleaner stuff from Walmart because it's cheap and it does the job. But I'm more of like, I think Lysol's actually a lot better than what you're getting here. I believe the 99.9% claim with Lysol versus this generic, but the point being is it's all about marketing and how you position yourself when it potentially could be the same exact product. So what I'm going to be interested in here, and I think our listener will as well, is how you position this template thing that you bought. Because $6 for a compliance, which is a huge, there's a lot at stake to remain compliant, Alex. I
Yeah.
think your $6 thing should be a lot higher.
Yeah, I think it might depend on the product. So this particular product is a two-page template to comply with a quality meeting for the state of Florida. They have specific rules on what types of things should be covered in the meeting. So
Let's
yeah,
put some let's put some context around it. What happens if a pharmacy is not compliant with that legislation? What's the fine?
they could get disciplined by the board. So
A fine, what a fine is, or is it CE?
fine. Huh? Yes, yeah, being required to take law C, maybe being
Yeah.
fined.
So I'm already thinking of a headline like,
Yeah,
how would you like to avoid a fine of $5,000? You
yeah,
know,
maybe that's a good strategy. Find disciplinary actions in Florida at the Board of Pharmacy in Florida for not complying with various
hmm
aspects.
business is either, when it's a B2B model, it's either saving money or earning more money is the opportunity that
Yeah,
you present to them. Your case, you're saving money, right? That's what compliance is all about. To spend $6 to avoid a $5,000 fine, I mean, that's a no-brainer,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. And speaking in law language too, it's kind of a classic business thing. Is people respond more to lost language than they do to gain language. So
It's so unfortunate.
$50 extra a month, or do you want to avoid losing $50 a month? And most
Yeah.
people feel more strongly towards not losing $50 a month.
I'm already thinking of like taglines. You could pay your farm if you're talking to owners, I assume, right?
Yeah,
You could pay your pharmacist an hour's wage, $50 to create this template, or you could spend 25 and save yourself the difference.
yeah,
Look at this. We're brainstorming marketing copy.
that we
Hey,
are.
the lesson that we want to drive home here is for you to validate as quickly as possible. Don't spend too much time figuring out all of the necessary things that you think you need before you sell something. Just help one person with your idea, validate that it's valuable, ideally through cash, and then build the rest of the things along the way. The last thing that you need to do is spend all the time and energy, money trying to figure out marketing or your entire business plan versus just validating that it's legitimate through cold, hard cash. Any final thoughts, Alex?
I think that's going to take a lot of experimentation for most
Yeah.
businesses. So keep experimenting.
Keep experimenting. That's what business is all about. Adapting to the environment, taking the opportunity.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Happy PharmD podcast. My name is Alex Barker, and with me has been Alex Evans, and I hope you enjoyed this.